Rocky Horror Minute is rated R. The Rocky Horror Picture Show is also rated R. We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the road we will talk about some adult content and use some of our favorite swear words.
Porra caralho, chupa meu pau.
Consider yourselves warned.
Welcome to Rocky Horror Minute, the podcast where we discuss the Rocky Horror Picture Show in excruciating detail, 1 minute at a time. I'm your host, Kelly.
And I'm also your host, Leandra.
And today we are discussing minute 17 of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Leandra, tell us what happened in this minute.
I will, gladly. So we begin where we left off, with Riff singing indoors. He sings, then drops from sight while the camera pans down to Brad and Janet, singing the remainder of the song. We then cut to another scene from inside the criminologist's office. We see another statement from the Denton affair, and then the criminologist turns to the map where it lines out where Brad and Janet were supposed to have gone, and it was indeed that they took that wrong turn at the fork a few miles back. And the lyrics for this minute are, "Let the sun and light come streaming into my life, into my life." And then Brad and Janet say, "There's a light over at the Frankenstein place. There's a light burning in the fireplace. There's a light in the darkness of everybody's life."
So beautiful. And not to name any specific events, but so topical right now. And this is one of the, no matter when you're listening to this, I'm sure something horrible is going on in the world that can make you can listen to this song for comfort. I know I do. Anyway, so I love this song, and it is finally over. And so I think it is time for us to rate it. What's your rating, Leandra?
Is this out of 10
5.
out of 5? Okay, it's
We've
out
been
of
doing
5.
them out of 5.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't
sorry.
remember. For those of you who are just tuning in, you have to understand that I have a very bad memory. So Kelly could at any point change everything we do, and I'd go, I mean, okay, that's fine.
That's true.
Out of 5, I would give this 5. This is, I think, a fantastic, amazing song, particularly if you include Brad's verse.
I feel the same way. I think it's a 5, and it would be an even higher rating somehow if indeed they included Brad's verse. But even without it, I've always loved it. I think it's one of the few songs in the movie that completely out of the context of the movie, you can listen to it, it makes perfect sense, sounds great. I do it all the time. Try it, why don't you? But anyway, so I rate it 5, and controversially perhaps, it's probably my favorite song in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know that I can say that. I really, really like science fiction double feature.
Yeah, we also both rated science fiction double feature a 5, but for me, I think that this one edges it out, and I think Leandra prefers science fiction double feature a little more. But really, you don't have to choose.
Yeah, I think I will just stick with sci-fi double feature as my favorite, just to be contrary. And of course, that makes me right.
But I'm sure we've got all kinds of fascinating notes for this minute. One of the things, of course, that I had to note was that same lightning sound effect again.
Yep, and I think that it's supposed to be a reflection of the lightning, but instead it looks like there's just lightning inside of the castle,
Well,
which is fun.
I mean, we're going to see later that that's not the craziest thought.
No, that's you.
So I'm sure you've got lots of interesting details to share with us, Leandra. Take it away.
I will. So we've talked already about the reflection in the window of the lightning that just looks like indoor lightning. I think that that's a fantastic thing for the audiences to see. It's one of the kind of benchmarks of what I truly think of as a campy film. And if you disagree, then you're wrong, and that's fine. I also like that during this piece, when you see Janet, water is spraying right into her eyes.
Yeah.
Like it's not just that they're in a downpour, it's that she has a newspaper over her head and she's still getting water just directly into her face through the entire end of this song.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a listener tonight. Shout out to Sarah if you're listening. And she mentioned that newspaper would be mush at this point, and it's true. Especially the newsprint would have given her like scene girl streaks.
It's not a phase, Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
So, next thing I wanted to throw out there is the Transylvanian flag is a white flag with a black lightning bolt. It's on top of the castle, but that's not when we see lightning. We pan back to Brad and Janet, and then they show the castle again, and then it's hit with lightning elsewhere. Just as a side note, I'm sad about Sean Connery's untimely demise, if only because this is a great dead celebrity to talk about.
Yeah. Leandra's going to now regale us with her Sean Connery impression.
I I sure hope that it's better than somebody's Tim Curry.
Oh, you're bitch shot. Oh god, that was my Sean Connery.
What just happened? Okay, well,
Oh my god. Yeah.
I'm just gonna take the L there. So how could I possibly do better than that?
Oh my god. All right. Anyway, yeah, that particular dead celebrity impression. Are you saying for this moment?
Yeah, so when the lightning strikes, it doesn't strike on the flag itself, which you'd think it kind of would because it would act a little bit like a weather vane, the flagpole. But no, instead it strikes on a different part of the house. And one of my favorite kind of old school callbacks is going, There Can Be Only One. Because when the lightning hits, if you are a Highlander fan, which I assume everyone
Oh.
is,
This is the
um,
Highlander thing. Everybody's been making Highlander references to me since this happened, and I haven't seen the movie.
oh, the first one's really fun. And
But
then,
there's a similar Sean Connery line that I do know the movie for, which is "I am the last one." Dragonheart.
yeah, that was an improved
Yeah,
impersonation.
that one is burned into my brain because I watched that movie like a million times as a kid.
I think the thing that I like most about Sean Connery in the Highlander films is that he is playing somebody who is in Scotland, but is from, I think that they land on him being from Spain, and he's the only person in the entire movie that has a Scottish accent.
That is very silly indeed.
I love that. But it does have Clancy Brown as the bad guy, and Clancy Brown's my favorite character actor. Less about that, more about Rocky.
Highlander minute.
Let's call that season 4.
Okay, okay,
Mm,
that's fair.
yeah,
Mm-hmm,
that's nice. So it's literally so cold out in the outpouring of fake rain that you can see both of their breaths. As you've said before, this is possibly when Janet got sick first. Also, I read that it wasn't the flu that she had, she developed pneumonia. So,
I know that Patricia Quinn got sick of her talking about it, but I also would never shut up about it if I were that sick and being expected to film a musical.
well, that was really all that I wanted to touch on in this. It wasn't super heavy in details.
Yeah, this is kind of a because, most of the lyrics are lyrics we've already heard, and most of the things we see are things we've already seen. This is a shorter minute in terms of discussion. I do have a few callbacks though.
Oh, fantastic.
So of course, I accidentally talked about this a little bit last minute, but when Riff starts to kind of do whatever he's doing to become small, you say, "Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible shrinking man," and he shrinks. And then a big crowd pleaser always is to start yelling. You start not that long before that lightning strike. You just start yelling, "Fuck you, God! Fuck you, God! Fuck you, God!" And then eventually the lightning will strike, and you go, "Oh shit!"
It's super fun if you're lined up in such a way that the lightning's actually kind of directed at you.
Yeah, absolutely. But, people love to yell that. And that's one where you don't have to get the timing super well. I would suggest making sure that you don't start it too early. I have seen that happen many times, and then people are like yelling it for a really long time. And then when Krim reappears, he opens up a map, and you say, "No wonder they got lost. You had the fucking map."
I have a couple of extra. So if you're looking at Riff Raff's costume when he's inside of the castle in the window and he's singing his solo, you see something kind of coming off of his shoulder, and it looks a lot like kind of a Mickey Mouse hand that's pointing. So you can say, what is Mickey Mouse pointing at? Then the next one that I like is instead of see the amazing shrinking man, I like, I'm melting. Oh, what a world, what a world.
That's true.
I also like, once we get into the Crim's office, we have statement to prove it,
Hmm.
which is a nice callback to the callbacks from previous, where they say, asshole statement, a statement to prove it, and so forth. I know I already talked about this, but in the same time that you could say fuck you, God, several times, you can also say there can be only one. This is one that when I went to see Lips Down on Dixie in I think 2008, maybe even earlier, um, they had an MC who also did a lot of callbacks and a lot of interacting with the screen with her callbacks, and she pretended to have a sword above her head, and she lined it up perfectly so that the sword tip got hit with the lightning, and it was just such a wonderful thing that is stuck in my head for the rest of my life. We have a couple more things to say after over at the Frankenstein place. The one time that they say over at the Frankenstein place and you see the flag, you can say Mario cleared the castle.
That's
This one's from
a good
Las
one.
Vegas. There's a light over at the Luxor Hotel. I've never been to Vegas, but this is one that came highly recommended.
Okay.
So
All right.
that is my assumption. I also like, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Burning in the fireplace. I find that one particularly amusing.
Oh. For those listeners who are also ignorant of Vegas, I Googled it, and it is the Luxor Hotel is that pyramid that does the light up out of the top of it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That checks out. So I know that this is kind of a short minute.
it is. Yeah, but that's okay. I'm sure you've got lots of things that you should be doing, dear listener, so I'll give you a little bit of time back.
Yeah. And hopefully, whatever you're doing with yourself, it brings you both joy, happiness, and endorphins, which should give you both joy and happiness.
And so I guess we should just sign off.
All right, let's go ahead and do that the same way that we do every show with now.
Now, you
You
don't
don't
have to
have to
go
go
home,
home,
but you
but you
can't
can't
stay
stay
here.
here.
So
So
get
get
the
the
fuck
fuck
out.
out.